From Storm Team 4, this is a weather alert.
Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Natalie Pasquarella.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stefan Holt. We are breaking into a regularly scheduled program to bring you the latest on Tropical Storm Isaias.
Yeah, that's right. The storm has knocked out power all across the tri-state region. We know right now at this hour more than 1 million customers in the dark, and that's just in New Jersey alone.
Let's take you outside to a live picture of the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. Look at the tarps there blowing on the side of the roadway. We understand the bridge is closed to traffic. Both directions, both levels, all closed because of those high winds.
Yeah, let's talk about your commute. It is crippled all across our area. New Jersey Transit Rail Service suspended system-wide. LIRR shut down. Metro North, Harlem, Hudson, and New Haven lines, all of those stopped. Plus, no elevated subway trains or New York Waterway or Staten Island ferries.
Let's go right over to Storm Team 4 meteorologist Janice Huff to tell us where Isaias is right now.
Well, thank goodness it's picking up even more speed and getting out of here, but we're still feeling the effects, of course, with wind and rain in some areas. The top winds now in the core at 65 miles an hour with higher gusts, of course, and now moving to the north-northeast at 40 miles an hour. So it's racing out, but there's still a lot of rain and wind to get through around parts of the tri-state area. Mainly north of New York City is where we're seeing the bulk of the rain through the Hudson Valley and areas north and west into the Catskills and Poconos. There are some flood warnings here, too, from Rockland to Fallsburg over towards Berlin and down near Dingman and Dingman's Ferry. A wider view shows some more of the warnings over western New Jersey now, portions of Warren County into eastern Pennsylvania. Live Storm Tracker 4 also showing some of those bigger storms that had the tornado warnings right now near Hartford and out towards Montauk. There's still a band there where we're seeing some isolated cells that will come through with possibly some damaging winds and some brief heavy rain. The winds right now, these are the sustained winds. That means it's the steady long wind. 44 miles an hour in Islip right now, 37 at Bridgeport. Lighter winds back to the west. You can see much less than 20 miles an hour, but the strong winds at White Plains up to 28 miles an hour. Now we're showing you the gusts, and they're higher, of course. And as expected, out across the east end of Long Island, or at least across Long Island and Connecticut, you're seeing the higher gusts now as the storm pulls away. 58 miles an hour in Bridgeport, 60 in Islip. Even down the shore, we're still seeing some 40, 45 mile per hour gusts in New Jersey. And there's the spin in the center of the circulation right here across northeastern Pennsylvania. So the winds are a little bit calmer right in the center. But as you go out, we get the stronger gusts that continue across the area. But as the storm races off, we'll see all of this continue to die down. But the damage is done. Storm Team 4's Matt Brickman is here to talk all about the power outages and what's been happening around the tri-state. Matt.
Yeah, and good to note, as that storm continues to move north, Janice, the outages will just expand for our central and northern counties. The biggest numbers, over 100,000 customers without power in Morris, Monmouth, and Ocean County. Those numbers will expand as those stronger winds kick up north. We've seen some eye-popping numbers. Over 100-mile-an-hour gust reported in Long Beach Island in New Jersey. Battery Park, 78 miles an hour there. Out on Long Island, Farmingdale, 78 miles an hour. Barnegat Light with 75-mile-an-hour gusts. Even at JFK and Rutgers, 70-mile-an-hour gusts. And we'll continue to see those destructive winds as that storm moves north until about 7 or 8 o'clock this evening. So more and more power outages. Heavier rain should be confined to our northwestern counties, Pike, Sullivan, maybe Ulster County, and still possible to see tornadoes develop, but mainly in our northern counties. Most of those tornado watches, you can see in effect, those expire at 4, but our northern counties, Dutchess and Ulster, that goes until 9 o'clock this evening, and we could continue to see some flash flooding in pockets of those heavier rain bands as the evening goes on as well. So a lot of damage done, and still more to come, I would expect, through the evening hours.
Okay, we are not done yet. Storm Team 4 meteorologist Matt Brickman, thank you, sir. Sadly, this storm has turned deadly. News 4's Miles Miller live in the Briarwood section of Queens, where I understand a tree fell onto a car. Someone was in that car, Miles?
That's right. That man was on the passenger side of that car, and it was actually a commercial van, a compact van. I want to push in. Doug Cunningham will push in here and show you just how massive that tree is. You can see it's completely uprooted from outside of someone's home here on 84th Drive in Briarwood, Queens. Let's get you to the video that a neighbor shot of what happened here. It appears a man was sitting in a van on the passenger side at 84th Drive in Briarwood when the tree uprooted and toppled right onto that van. He was sitting in the passenger side, as I said, and when police came here with EMS, they pronounced him dead at the scene. We are told that responding officers who came to the scene also had their car crushed by this, their windshield crushed by the branches of that tree. What you were seeing when I first came to you and what you could see right now is that there are Parks Department officials, crews here, really getting into the weeds, if you will, of it. They are taking the branches out with cherry pickers. They are up in cherry pickers right now, trying to clear the street and that van of the branches there. It is quite an ordeal here in Queens, as we know. In this part of Queens, these trees are very, very old. It's one of the oldest parts of New York City, which is why every time when there's a major storm, we see these trees toppling. Specifically in this area, the Parks Department will have to determine how old that tree is and how this happened. It'll be an investigation also with OEM to figure out how this happened, if it was wind speed or something else. But it's a massive, massive tree that's in the middle of 84th Drive, a tree that toppled over onto a commercial van and claimed one life this afternoon. We're live in Briarwood, Queens. I'm Miles Miller, News 4 New York. Back to you.
Oh, Miles, that is some video there. We thank you for that report. I want to tell you there are trees down really all across the area, though. Let's get out to News 4's Chris Glorioso. You can see the back of his shot there in Newark. And I saw your video, Chris, as it was coming into the newsroom with that tree coming down, one of those trees out there.
Well, you know, this is the Vailsburg section of Newark, and just about every side street looks something like this, with a tree down or at least some branches down. In this case, a gust of wind took these roots down. It snapped that concrete, and then take a look. The tree actually fell all the way over there in between two homes. And then if you come down here and look underneath the tree, you can see it also took down a utility pole. That pole, of course, unfortunately fell down on the Wilson family car. As I mentioned, this is just one street out of many in Newark where high winds took down trees, creating really a maze of blocked roads and dead ends for side street drivers. In some cases, residents stood outside on their stoops watching as the utility poles came down, and in some cases we saw arcs of light as those transformers popped. Really everybody here taking this in stride, but exasperated like the rest of us. This has been a 2020 that no one will ever forget, from the pandemic to the economy. Now a storm like this, residents here say the hits just keep coming.
I tried to drive, we just drove around and everything is bad today. And 2020 already messed up. We didn't need nothing worse. And now look at this.
Now, aside from the trees falling on many of these side streets, we are also hearing from a lot of folks that they are concerned, even though the winds seem to have died down, that there could be more that fall, because they say in many instances they have not seen these trees pruned for some period of time. And of course, when a tree is not pruned, that means it can really become like a sail picking up a gust of wind, and that's what causes a lot of this. We're told that there are about 72,000 power outages throughout Essex County, not just here in Newark, but lots of these streets have some houses that have power, others that don't. One bit of good news here in Newark, we haven't seen a lot of flooding. For now, reporting live in the Vailsburg section of Newark, Chris Glorioso, News 4 New York.
All right, Chris, have to feel for those families out there dealing with those power outages right now. Be sure you download our NBC4 New York app. It gets you the latest information. You can use the real track of the storm there, sent right to your phone or tablet.
We've got you covered on the app. Yeah. We've got you covered online. We got you covered on the air. Natalie and I will see you in just about 50 minutes for News 4 at 4. We hope to see you then. Now we'll take you back to Ella.